Good evening. I'm coming to you live from Singapore Airport. So I don't know if you can see behind me, but Singapore Airport is known as one of the best airports in the world. Why is that? Partly because of the facilities. So I got here about half an hour ago so far. I've had a shave, a shower. I'm in the Qantas Business Lounge, of course. So flying Qantas has its benefits. But you know what? It's not just business lounges. They actually have a lot more facilities on the floor for tourists with Wi-Fi, etc. And they make it a lot easier, which is why I think now I've come to you live from an area that obviously I don't have a SIM card in Singapore. I'm only using the Wi-Fi at the business lounge. But I want to get to this buying overseas question. Because I get asked a lot about, especially if I'm speaking to somebody who's currently in the US, the UK, in Europe, and they're thinking of moving to another English-speaking country, then it's pretty simple. Australia is very safe. It's very, it's colourful. See the beaches, they see the blue skies. But what happens if you're in not necessarily a predominantly English-speaking country, if you're in Indonesia or the Philippines or Malaysia, and you want to come across? So part of what you're going to do, of course, is going to be through a translator. But set up the Zooms first. Don't just buy from overseas. Don't Google search and think that Dr. Google is going to search everything for you. And it's not just ChatGPTs or either ChatGPT or other AIs are coming out and becoming more popular. It's not necessarily going to give you the best answers. The idea of any AI is that it just does the same thing as Google does, but it formats the answer better for you. So it's great to translate. So once you've got your answers, then a lot of the AI programs can do the translation for you. But I'm recommending using boots on the ground. What I mean by boots on the ground is somebody who actually lives in Sydney if you want to move to Sydney, somebody who lives in Melbourne if you want to move to Melbourne, somebody who lives in Brisbane if you want to move to Brisbane. Because when you're making the first investment, you can save so much time and save so much money, save so much energy. And really, that's what we have. It's just that triangle of time, money, and energy. What you're saving those three things by asking questions from somebody who actually knows, somebody who's in the area, who's working in the state, who's an immigration. They'll give you the answers of what you need to be able to get a yes straight away to perhaps even shortcut the list because it's not difficult to migrate. It's not difficult to integrate, but there are steps involved. There's probably 50 steps involved, so three steps. So part of it is obviously your ID, passport, certification, ensure that your financial investment is good, paperwork comes through, your permanent residence request comes through. If you're getting sponsored by a company, the company that's legitimate and got funds to cover your wages for the next 2 years. All these companies are covered when you sit and work out the right ones to speak to. So it's not difficult, but it is onerous and scary. There's a lot of steps into it, but they don't need to be difficult. It's just a 1 foot in front of the other situation. So what do people ask when they're in Singapore, Philippines? It's really because of the time zone. So there's only a 3 hour time zone between Singapore and Sydney. Sydney's on the east coast of Australia. Singapore's in the west, so closer to where Perth is. But if you've got a local who's in Sydney, in the mainstream industry, Sydney times that suit Singapore. It's the same with most of Southeast Asia. If you find that time zones suit, so you're following the right questions. You record the conversations, so you can take down notes, and you can get your AI to put things into written form, which means it can something. Why do I say this? Because my parents immigrated. My parents moved from Poland when they were just 17 or 18. So, it's always going to be hard when you first start, but it's much easier when you get good support. Australian Passport Office is very good. The de facto Australian trade groups are very good as well. Um, but you find a lot of support, and a lot of it is free support, so especially in the first few steps. You don't want to have to pay for expensive consultants, negotiators, experts, so they're actually ready to make it. So don't drown yourself in debt. Just try to discover things. First do the discovery sessions, and then when you're ready to do the big move, that's when we hire out traders. Um, where the biggest thing is going to be like good language skills, especially in English. And most of the other practicalities are easy. But especially makes a difference if you passports where your surname and first name are in a different order to the Australian first name and surname. So there's little things to consider. But also if you need any documents translated from one language to another before they can be sent to Australia. So have a look on the website as it details the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade under the immigration. Make sure it's on the Australian government immigration website. There might be paperwork for you to fill in through the financial investment review board if you're buying a property for buying real estate. And it can be a process time, so sometimes it takes a week or so to get the answer back. Once you get down that stage, you get to you pay people who are called aposteles, or in Australia, we quite often use something called the justice of peace, but in dealing with international documents, there's more ribbons, more invitations, statements. So it's usually done by an apostille or justice of peace. But the good news is that everything is spelled out for you, page by page, on the websites. So try not to waste too much time just Google. Actually reach out to somebody who's local who can give you a bit of advice, especially if they've done it themselves in the last 4 years. So 4 years, lockdown. After lockdown, digitalisation made things a lot easier. And we're supposed to have a lot better internet than we did 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And obviously, stuff it's necessary. But think of it this way: if it's easy for you, it's easy to be in Australia, overseas as well. So I'm just flying back from London via Singapore to Sydney, so I'll be back in Sydney about hours. And like I'm really fortunate. I'm really looking forward to touching base with the real estate agents that I've been speaking to over the last few months. Because now the elections are there, the interest rates have started to drop down, house prices starting to be sort of massive going up, whereas before there was instability and nobody knew about who was going to win federal elections. There's uncertainty about interest rates. Are they going to stay the same for a long time? Are they going to go up? Now it looks as if they've gone down a little bit, but they've got a huge average. But that's all I want to share with you. Just from a position of immigration and migration. And remember, when you're looking at real estate, some areas are locked out. And what that means is they might have a new development, a new build, and they allow up to 20% of the building to go for foreigners and 80% of the building to be Australian residents or Australian citizens. So check those things before you invest in property to see do they accept foreign investors that have to to it, or can they only buy property that's based on to construct in other words, to help our economy from a construction and manufacturing point of view as well. So there's those considerations, but most of those answers are pretty transparent. If you know where to look, then you can get the answers easily. And of course, keep a copy of all the things that you're getting. So this is a name, keep a copy and you'll do well and you'll enjoy the lovely sunshine that Sydney has. And also got a little bit of rain, a little bit of sun, so you're not constantly getting burnt and you're enjoying the best of the beaches, the best of the parks, the best of the schools and universities. I hope that helps and I'll speak to you soon.